Right guys, so about time I jumped into LMU and give this a bit of a spin. So what I'm going to do a few laps in the Ferrari 488 GTE. Reason being, it's somewhat familiar, you know, I'm mainly an ACC player, but I've driven the 488 GTE in R-Factor 2, I've driven it in ACC as well. What I really want to do is kind of get a feel for the GTEs, then I'm going to jump into an LMP, and then we might jump into a hypercar and do a quick race. So what I'm going to do is just a quick check on the setup. What can we do? We'll just take a bit of fuel out of the car, put in like, I don't know, 40-50 litres. Menu is a bit slow to react, but whatever, not the end of the world. And I'll increase the rear wing by click. Yeah, so the menu is a bit delayed. I didn't have this problem yesterday, but yeah, it's all good. Let's go for it. Now, triple support did come today in the hotfix, so I'm just going to adjust the view slightly. That feels about right, I think. Actually, just one more thing. Let me just turn on.
The track temperature is increasing. It's now 34 Celsius.
Just going to turn on Fanalab as well, just so I might be able to get some. Yeah, we'll just go with that. I have second monitor running up top there, but let's close that down. I don't think it's working. Don't think it's going to be connected yet. So I downloaded the latest version of Crew Chief, which apparently was although it's beta, but technically I think supports it's supporting LMU, but kind of hoping against hope that the plugin might also capture telemetry elsewhere, but I don't think so. Anyway, not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lower the force feedback, because what I remember, the GTE and the LMP2, the Oreca, have the old tyre model apparently.
Disengage limiter.
So, yeah, just interested to see kind of how that feels, but I know for sure that I do have to lower the force feedback. Now, one thing I do remember from driving R-Factor 2 was that each car required its own kind of FFB profile. Now, what I will say so far, the GTEs and the LMPs that I've driven have a lot of feedback, very strong, that need to be turned down, but the new hypercars have a more, let's say, less strength to the force feedback. Another thing that I've done in the menu, I've lowered my, actually let me just show you while we're here. I've lowered, and this is for anyone on a Fanatec wheel, right? So I used to have major issues with where we controls force feedback. Okay, I used to have major issues on Fanatec wheels where if in R-Factor 2 you hit a curb or you crashed, there was major spikes through the FFB to the point where you couldn't actually feel what the car was doing, right? Now, what we've got here, I've made some changes to the steering coefficient and the... Wow, the menu is so buggy. It wasn't like this slow yesterday, but basically what I've done is I've turned down the resistance and coefficient and the saturation to 3%. The collision strength and curb pull strength I've brought down to 28%. So my interpretation of this was collisions with either the ground, the curbs, not only that, but the curb pull strength as well. But if you go to somewhere like Sebring, you'll feel exactly what I'm talking about. But there are my force feedback settings. What this has allowed me to do was dial out all of the crap with the pull strength and the collision strength, which, you know, I'm interpreting kind of as high frequency wheel events. And what I'm doing then is I'm turning up the overall force feedback, so I'm actually able to feel more of what the car is actually doing, which is something I couldn't do in R-Factor 2. So the fact I can do it here in LMU is definitely welcome. The cars themselves, the graphics and all, look absolutely brilliant. And P for me, they've added in triple screen support there in a hotfix today, so I upgraded to triple screens during last week. So finally the sim is actually looking decent in triples. One thing I noticed as well about the tyre model in general is that it does take a couple of laps to get up to speed with the tyres. They need to get up to temperature. Otherwise, both the front and the rear just feel kind of disconnected, which is kind of what you'd expect, I guess. Just, you know, slow and lazy to react, nothing, you know, just a bit of a nuisance, really. The overall driving physics, and yeah, I can actually feel the car loading up, and I don't feel too much, you know, road and curb interactions, which is great. This was the one thing that, you know, I didn't like with RF2, is that, you know, in some cars the curb strikes and the road bumps would be overpowering to the point the wheel would be going all over the place, and, you know, a lively wheel but not much information. Like somebody that talks but doesn't add a lot of value. That's kind of how I would best describe the FFB in R Factor 2, certainly on Fanatec basis, right? But yeah, here it's definitely a lot better. And this is very enjoyable to drive, and I can actually feel the micro details in the force feedback. It reminds me of ACC, but better. Kind of reminds me of AMS2, but more refined. Like, well, I say more refined, just more dynamic. AMS2, I think, has better FFB compared to ACC. ACC is, well, it's a physics problem in ACC, right? That to be fast, you run typically the meta setups, and that is usually maximum caster, and that results in the FFB or the steering feeling just heavy and a little bit dull-ish, but still very good FFB nonetheless, right? But what I find with this is that, or what I find with AMS2, let's say, is that that's not the case. You get way, you know, really good detail. It's very dynamic. But I can honestly say that LMU in this car at least feels superb, and I've driven the Cadillac. Now I'm still getting used to the LMU / R Factor 2 physics. Like I did main R Factor 2 for a while, but, you know, admittedly I gave up because I just, you know, it was one setting problem after another. Then the FFB went all weird, and yeah, loads of issues in R Factor 2, let's be honest, right? But in LMU, I'm not really running into those same issues. There's still some teething problems there, but again, remember, it is early access. Now, I do have a confession to make as well, right? That I did buy this yesterday at release, and on my lunch break I jumped on, thought it was crap initially, and issued a refund through Steam. But then, having looked at other people online throughout the day, I kind of thought, you know what, maybe I was too harsh judging it, and, you know, hence why I've rebought it, re-downloaded it, and I can honestly say that it is very, very good. I mean, this feels excellent, right? There's no other word to describe it in terms of the driving feel. It's more dynamic than ACC, it has more finesse than AMS2, and I love AMS2, by the way, and that's not to say that it's much better, but it is more difficult as well. Like, it is more difficult to kind of gauge rotation, and you have to almost be prepared for the little snaps at the back, but yeah, looks and feels great.
21.65.
Looks and feels great. Graphics are, you know, obviously we had a little screen glitch there, but the graphics are updated, of course, and yeah, everything looks new and polished, and, you know, I've seen some of the lighting effects at night as well in some of the videos online. But the reason I didn't do a video on this yesterday was because I knew there'd be some kind of hotfix out today, which there was, addressing the triple screen thing, which, you know, I'm glad to see. But, you know, I just wanted to give it a day to digest exactly kind of how I felt, and last night as well I was doing a bit of a hypercar race around here, and that felt really nice. But it is a game that you can, like, really wrestle the car. You know, there's a bit of play at the limit, of course, but it's not as forgiving as it is in, let's say, AMS2, where the slip angle is a bit more generous, and in ACC, like, you're sole aim to be quick is to stay out of the traction control as much as possible. But this definitely teaches you how to drive and weight manage the car a lot more. It's really good. It's really good. Pleasantly surprised. Yeah, and I can feel like even the detail, like what the car's trying to do, it's a lot more nuanced. It's not as obvious in the FFB, but I'd argue it's just enough. Like, you know, it's kind of what you'd expect. And when you do decide to kind of get a bit more, let's say, up towards the limit, it definitely talks to you a lot more. It's fun. One thing I'm waiting for is the Fanalab LED integrations, which our Fanalab guy, Maurice, who's quite active on the Fanatec forum, a legend among men, I would argue, him with his profiles and just general work he does. And what I also like as well about LMU is also the ability to take a curb, which, you know, you can't really do in ACC.
That time was a 2:20.6.
But yeah, look, I mean, let's have a look. I mean, yeah, looks great, drives great. Graphics have got a big update as well from R Factor 2, and yeah, like I say, the problems that plagued the Fanatec wheels seem to have disappeared. But yeah, this is brilliant. This is really good. Really surprised pleasantly. I'm kind of glad I gave it a second go, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, let's jump out of this. Return to garage. Is there any way to look at a replay? Can I watch? If I click on watch, what does that do? Okay, that watches. What am I watching exactly? Well, it's my instant replay. And can I change camera here? Yes, I can. That's good. Yeah, this is pretty cool, isn't it? I like this. Different camera views as well that I've mapped. And then we're back to the garage, of course. But yeah, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, let us jump out of this. Let me end this session. We'll go and get let's say one of the Oreca LMPs, will we? Why not go back to the menu? Are you sure you want to exit the current session? Yep.
Checker flags out. P1.
Yeah, okay. So let us go back in, we'll grab an Oreca. Same track, let's keep it consistent. LMP2. And yeah, there's loads of themes, isn't there? Let's take this one. What's it? The Alpine. Just practice, no race. We'll keep the race for the end with the Hypercar. But yeah, initial thoughts are, yeah, really good. Like I say, when I made a few changes to the FFB in game by turning down the curb pull strength and the crash strength, if you like, that allowed me to up the actual overall FFB both in the wheelbase and in game. And you know, what I found was coming through then was just purely stuff that was important, you know, as in the road loading up and the tyre loading up, the G-forces and the tyre, that sort of thing. Right, let us drop down the fuel to about 50 litres like we did in the Ferrari. There does seem to be a delayed reaction in the settings menu here, which I didn't have yesterday, I must admit. So maybe something with the hotfix they've done has undone something else. And what I'll do, I'll just increase the rear wing position by 1 as well, just to give a bit more stability. Rear wing position P3, okay. And let's start driving. Now, as I say, I have changed the FOV and all of that stuff with the triple setup there today, so I'm just trying to get it into
The track temp's increasing. It's now 33 Celsius.
something that looks quite normal, I think. Yeah, this looks okay, I think. So let us yeah, okay, that seems decent. Let's go. Let's start it up and let's get going. Okay, steering lock. Won't get us out of the garage. Hang on a second. And it won't select reverse. Maybe that's just me. Then I'll have to go into neutral first. But let's electrics on, starter, and let's go full lock early then, so we can actually get out of the garage. All right. So there is the car. Looks great, doesn't it? Really, really cool. Keep it out of the wall, Gary. Yeah, it's pretty good. Then, yeah, on medium tires, so not the soft or anything, just let's see what this is like.
Limiter's still on. Disengage it.
Yeah. Definitely feel the extra weight in the steering in this, obviously with the downforce, so it's not surprising. Yeah, you notice as well, and it's something that I had to be careful of, is that with the colder tyres, the car's performance is markedly different now. I find it's worse on the Hypercar compared to like the GTEs and this. Like, this is obviously going to be a bit worse, but not as bad as the Hypers, which probably makes sense. Like, I did say on the Discord, they felt like kind of high speed coffins when they're on cold tyres, but yeah, you can definitely feel the back of it trying to fish away, like. Let's see what other options I have available. Look, I've mapped everything yesterday, but yeah, it's pretty good. Like, it feels nice. It's I can see this being a very popular class among most leagues. Like, it's you know, controllable. It's still very challenging. Like, if you're coming from ACC, which I am, and this will take a bit of getting used to, like even the GTEs and stuff like that. The whole driving dynamic is much more difficult. Like, another little graphics glitch there. Don't know what that's all about. Okay, over the curb. Just a little bit wide there. I think finally the tyres will be coming up to temp. 59 degrees, so yeah, we should be thereabouts. Yeah, and that's one thing I've noticed as well. You need to kind of squeeze the throttle out of corners, where if you're an ACC player, like, you kind of just get the car somewhat straight and mash it, and CC will either help or hinder you. Oh, whoa, whoa, what a...
Validated. Watch the track limits.
That's a snap if ever I've seen one. Yeah, I'm getting the odd little graphics glitch here and there, like a little micro pause, which I wasn't getting yesterday. Yeah, you do definitely have to release the brake pressure as the downforce comes off the car, that's for sure. The slower you go, the more susceptible to locking up it is, which should be true both of a piece of weight with momentum behind it as a car, and then obviously the downforce thing as well. Haven't flat spotted the tyres, thankfully. Yeah, this is really good. Yeah, the sounds are nice and realistic as well, which is one thing I like. Like, most racing sims games, they have like I would say nice sounds, but are they realistic? Probably not. There's another micro stutter right there. Okay. Yeah, this feels pretty good. Really good, yeah. Like,
Time was a 2:11.69.
yeah, I think a bit more practice here, we'll be doing quite well. Like initially, I think as a game, like it has all of the potential to be one of the greats. Like, I mean, if we remember back, to, you know, this is early access, right? Another micro stutter in the middle of Eau Rouge. That's not good, lads. But yep, early access, Gary, early access. But I think this has the potential to be massive. If they manage to execute the fixes through a couple of hot fixes and address a couple of bugs and stuff like that, this could be like ACC version 2 in terms of popularity within like esport leagues and stuff like that. Once that's done and it gets the backing like of an official 24-hour of Le Mans esport event, and you know, if the racing god himself, Max Verstappen, doesn't have another bad experience like he did last time on Factor, this could get pretty good exposure, and Studio 397 could find themselves sitting on a little gem. They really could. And like, I know the financial situation of motorsport games at the time of this, and you know, but if they can somehow carve out that niche and get enough of a backing, you know, for this game, then that could open the door for other titles down the line. You know, probably won't be IndyCar because I think that's gone to iRacing, and NASCAR the same, but immediately, like even off the back of Le Mans Ultimate, they can start to make money off maybe a 2024 pack, introduce more cars and, you know, whatever else. I had another micro stutter there in the middle of Blanchimont. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go and find the Hypercar next, but I just want to take one more trip through Eau Rouge to see, do I have that same micro stutter in Eau Rouge? Because if so, then it's a very specific stutter at two locations on the track.
9.3, that's your quickest lap in this session.
Yeah, Eau Rouge and Blanchimont seem to have given me stutters for every lap I've done here, so let me just double check that. Yeah, same again. Okay. So yeah, that I'll report that after this vid. But yeah, like nothing. Well, say nothing major. A game glitch in the middle of Eau Rouge is probably major, and Stavelot as well, like two of the highest speed corners on the entire track, probably in the entire calendar. But yeah, try to not make a big deal of it. Early access. But yeah, I love the yellow thing coming up in the car, and you'll notice if you're being lapped by faster cars, you'll also get that. But yeah, what I'll do, I'll pause this one here, I'll go and get a Hypercar, we'll jump back in, do a few laps of the Hypercar with an open practice with, let's say, AI cars, and then we'll set up just a random grid start race and go from there. Right guys, so I decided just to jump in and do a quick few laps in a regular practice session. There was too many difficulties trying to do a race. I had a few game crashes, and no, I don't have the MSI or Riva tuner running. I've got an RTX 3090, so enough headroom there for the graphics card. But rather than, you know, being frustrated, I'm just going to jump into a practice session and do like a back-to-back, similar to, you know, against the LMP and GTE cars. So as I mentioned, this car is on the new tyre model, as are all the Hypercars, as I'm led to believe. And this tyre model is very, very unforgiving when it comes to cold tyres. It's to the point where, like, you have to like really lead off, and you'll notice that there's various bits of the track where the car just will understeer, like here, just no real rotation, and then when you do get on power, the back of it then wants to step away immediately. Even here, like, the steer's just light, it's not turning, it's understeering, there's just no temperature in the carcass of the tyre. So what you have to do basically is just wait a lap or two until that temperature comes, and then you start to push on it, and then you start to have fun driving the car. a little bit of temperature starting to come now. I can feel the front of the car starting to get a bit more pointy, which kind of gives me confidence turning in, which means the front will direct where the rear should go, and the rear, when it goes with it, is more stable in doing it. So yeah, we're getting places now. Temperatures are slowly coming up.
The right tyres are cold.
And you do really have to trail brake in these cars. In any car really, in LMU, like, you have to really be, you know, very careful. It's much more dynamic, as I said earlier, about how you treat the car, how you treat the braking and the turn in and stuff, and just patience as well in the slower corners. It's one thing with the Hypercar, you have to remember, like, it gets its performance from the downforce, and there ain't much downforce at really slow speeds. Right, temperatures are a lot better now. Braking from like 312 kilometers an hour, a lot more confidently this time. I'm able to like manipulate the back of the car around on the slide. Yeah, starting to feel a lot better now, and now you can see the tyre temperature coming up to like the 70s at the front, 75, 73 and stuff like that. And still coming up a little bit on the rear, but the grip now is like way more. Oh, just overshot that a bit. And again, coming back to like the slow speed. I mean, look how clumsy it is at slow speed. Just no downforce to help it.
The lap time was at 2:04.9. That's your best lap in this session.
It's just so clumsy, like when there's no downforce over the car. It's so like ridiculous, but realistic at the same time, I'm sure.
Sector 1 is 2.5 slower than your best.
It's amazing how much you can stand on the brakes with the tyre temperatures up to where they are, like base, you know, versus when you just left the pits. Yeah, it's a very, very dynamic driving experience. It's a lot to think about and a lot going on at once. So like there's the car like front to back rotation and slip angles and all of that, but then the brake becomes much more important in this, much more important. And then the throttle then needs to be respected. That's the best way I could describe it. But then you need to be aware then that as the speed bleeds off the car, the actual performance reduces in every area. So less downforce means, you know, less rotation, less grip, less lateral kind of you know, less lateral grip. And then the biggest one then is, you know, for me, the braking. Another glitch into there you can see like they don't release enough pressure, just a small lockup at the end of the braking area. Do one more lap.
206, 27, your brakes are hot. You're currently 1.8 off your best.
It's like it requires a different driving style for each corner. So the slow corners maybe being off the apex is best, similar to a GT car. That glitch in Eau Rouge there has just screwed me a bit. It's like it's dropping a frame for some reason, or a few frames. A lot of random kind of glitches now.
Just done 204.2. Sector 3 time is fast.
Yeah, so getting a lot of random glitches coming into the game now. It's yeah, it's just there. Like I don't know if it's a part of the track that just I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's at certain points like it's going up to Eau Rouge Radion, and then it's coming through Blanchimont. That's where I'm kind of noticing most of the glitches, which is a shame. Like it's only one track. I'm almost certain I didn't notice this yesterday, so I don't know if something happened in the update. I know there was an update out today, but yeah, I don't know if you know whatever was in that update is causing the issue. Onboard cameras are quite good. Yeah, I like that view. Yeah, it's yeah, a bit frustrating. Just you know, well, not you'd expect. I mean, it's early access, you know, but I would have liked the you know, the glitches at least to be ironed out, or well, some of the glitches, like you know, the track kind of the track glitch, if we call it that. But can I watch myself? Yeah, I can. Can I control the camera? Don't think so. But yeah, I suppose what do I think of LMU? Drives brilliantly, a lot of fun to drive, very enjoyable. Does have, as we know, like a few bugs to be ironed out. Nothing is perfect, but I do think that this could well be one of the greatest sim titles out there. You know, in the last 5-10 years. I mean, it has the hallmarks to be, you know, have the longevity of the likes of AC and certainly ACC. And what I mean by that is, like, if we compare this to other titles that are out there, even Or Factor 2 that it's based off, right? And I put AMS2 into the same kind of category, that the problems with them titles, that they have such a large selection of tracks and cars, that for them to be, and you know, for them to be good at any one you know, selection of tracks becomes difficult, because you know, you need the development then to do the correct balance of performance. You need all of the tracks to be absolutely perfect. You know, curb interactions,
Good.
artist
Temperature's rising.
work,
It's now 35 Celsius.
you know, racing lines and stuff like that, and then you need to have them balanced by class. And you know, now if you have a title like, let's say AMS2, where you know how many different types of cars are in that game. I mean, you've got different classes, you've got different cars within classes, you've got classes within classes almost, right? It becomes very difficult for anyone to go around all of the tracks that AMS2 has, both in the dry and in the wet. And the same for R Factor too. I mean, there's, you know, tons of cars in R Factor. But I think what made ACC kind of,
Disengage
well,
later.
what I'm assuming is easier to master, is the limited amount of cars and classes that it tries to cater towards. And I think LMU is kind of going to be in that bracket as well, where you've got essentially you know, the World Endurance Championship. We've got, at this point in time, we've got 8 tracks, so very limited amount of tracks, very limited amount of cars and classes, and that should, in theory, allow the development team to actually focus on, you know, perfecting the smaller number of cars and classes that is currently in the sim. Now, if they manage to do that, which, you know, they should be able to, then this means then that we've got a game that is, you know, essentially perfected around a very focused set of classes, you know, GTE, LMP2, and the Hypercar. So, you know, 3 classes. Within one of them, the P2, they're all single make, so nothing to worry about there too much. We've got 4 GTEs, which balancing them should be handy, I think, because, you know, relatively speaking. And then with the Hypercars, they do handle quite differently in between them, so there might be a bit more work there, but all things being considered, you know, they've got a focused class or focused type of racing on a limited number of tracks with a limited number of cars. And I think that will be to their benefit, to be able to nail this sim properly. I really do think that is what's needed, and I think that's what they're going to get. And it's for that reason, like, I'm hopeful that this game is going to develop at a rapid rate of knots. Like, I mean, the bug fixes, like the glitching and stuff, yeah, let's see. Hopefully it's fixed, but yeah, bright future. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and catch you at the next one.
No way.